Let's just dive right into this explainer, where we're going to re-examine a massive literary classic through a completely new, kind of magical lens. We're not just looking at Ernest Hemingway's masterpiece, The Old Man and the Sea, from the outside today, no. Instead, we're diving into this incredible thought experiment where the characters themselves, Santiago, the boy Manolin, the great Marlin, the sharks, and yes, even the sea itself, actually sit down with Hemingway to explain the real meaning of their story.
We're kicking things off with Hemingway's opening provocation, which honestly challenges everything we assume about success and defeat. Just think about it for a second. What if the greatest victory in your life looked exactly like failure? It really cuts right to the core of the human experience, doesn't it? Hemingway points out that, look, the world is uneven. Honorable people fail and dishonest people succeed all the time. And because life doesn't always reward our efforts, dignity actually ends up mattering way more than victory. You don't become great by just avoiding defeat. You become great by refusing to surrender the best part of yourself when that defeat inevitably arrives.
Now, this entire explainer is actually based on a really beautiful thought experiment. If you want to check out the full imaginary conversation for yourself, you absolutely should visit https://imaginarytalks.com/theoldmanandthesea, explained by its characters. It's such a profound read. It gives these classic figures the chance to speak truths that the original novel left completely unspoken.
Part 1. The Price of Preparation. 84 Days of Silence.
In this imaginary conversation, the ancient voice of the sea points out a pretty deep human flaw. We almost always confuse silence with a lack of value, right? We completely ignore the invisible preparation that's happening right beneath the surface. When the sea is quiet, we just assume nothing lives down there. But underneath, whales are swimming, storms are gathering, and currents are moving. Santiago's 84 empty days without a single fish were exactly like that.
And this brilliantly illustrates why modern societies struggle so much with patience. We're so obsessed with counting the fish, but we don't look at the fishermen being forged in all that waiting. Think about it. Whether it's a new business, a piece of art, or even just personal growth, if there isn't an immediate visible result, people just assume nothing valuable occurred. They probably just think you're out there sitting in a boat getting a sunburn. But Hemingway reminds us that the story absolutely does not begin on the 85th day when the fish finally bites. No, it begins with the grueling 84 days that came right before it.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that Santiago's failures weren't just some random streak of bad luck. Not at all. They were the exact price required to become a man worthy of the catch. The old man had to wake up every single morning, prepare his lines, and study the currents. He was actively becoming the kind of man that luck actually wanted to visit. The sea doesn't ask, hey, what did you catch? It asks, what did the waiting make of you?
Okay, moving on to Part 2, Respecting the Worthy Opponent. Respect and Resistance.
It's fascinating how love and destruction live right side by side here. Santiago has this realization that love without respect is really just possession, and the fish earned its respect through its absolute freedom and immense struggle. Honestly, if the fish had just rolled over and given up, Santiago wouldn't have loved it. That mutual respect stripped away all of Santiago's excuses to hate his opponent. He couldn't just pretend the struggle meant nothing. He knew exactly what he was taking from the sea.
Now, what's really wild here is how the Marlin totally flips the narrative. It shows us that our ultimate goals don't just belong to us, they actually capture and define us. We usually think of our goals as these prizes we hunt down, right? But any truly worthy opponent, any truly massive ambition demands so much of you that it essentially captures you. As the Marlin points out, Santiago needed that fish to answer a fundamental question about himself. Was he still capable of greatness?
Which brings us to Part 3, Surviving the Sharks, Facing the Aftermath.
You know, the sharks aren't just some tragic plot device thrown in to ruin a happy ending. As Hemingway explains in this conversation, they are the unavoidable critics and decay that show up the very second you achieve something monumental. They represent public opinion, time, envy, and mortality itself. You can kind of think of them as the original internet trolls. Every great accomplishment carries a scent, and believe me, the world always notices.
Santiago has a massive revelation right here. He wasn't actually fighting the sharks to protect his victory. He was only fighting to protect his proof. And there's a huge difference there. If he brings back the whole fish, well, it's just proof to the village. They'd all say, wow, what an enormous catch. But by bringing back only the skeleton, the village is forced to ask, how on earth did the old man survive losing it? You see, one story celebrates success, while the other teaches endurance.
This is such a heavy realization. The lead shark makes a pretty brutal but entirely honest point. Anything that the world, time, or critics can steal from you was literally never the most important part of your journey anyway. The sharks didn't destroy Santiago's victory. Not at all. They merely stripped away the external, visible reward, leaving behind this incredible monument to what cannot be eaten, stolen, or measured, which is his unyielding character.
Let's look at part 4, Aging, Wonder, and Hope. Growing old, not small.
Santiago completely redefines physical decline here. He doesn't see it as a weakness, but as a transition into a totally different kind of strength. He talks about how when he was young, pain left quickly. But when he grew older, pain stayed for tea. I love that phrasing. Age gave him something youth just couldn't, the ability to outgrow his mistakes rather than just trying to outrun them. He didn't fear getting old, you know? He only feared becoming unnecessary, of losing that deep conversation with the sea.
And that brings us to that famous image of the lions playing on the beach in Santiago's dreams. Hemingway explains that the lions aren't about just clinging to lost youth. It's so much deeper than that. They are about retaining an endless, boundless curiosity for life. Think about it. Some people become old at 30, right? While others remain brilliantly curious at 90. Wonder is the true hero here.
Finally, Part 5, Finding Your Modern Marlin, The Struggle Today. So, how do we actually apply this masterpiece to our lives today, right now in 2026? Well, your Marlin definitely still exists, it's just changed clothes. It represents any worthy struggle that demands you to be your absolute best self. The Marlin itself notes that today, it might be a startup company everyone doubts, or a medical cure people say is impossible, or even a child that everyone else has just given up on. The reality is, small dreams never require large people. If you really want to grow, you absolutely have to pursue the path that frightens you the most.
The ultimate lesson here isn't about whether you can successfully catch your dream or how much money or fame it might bring you. It's really about whether becoming the person who tries makes your life beautiful. The sea doesn't reward comfort, and honestly, neither does life. The true value is in the transformation. It's the respect you earn from the work itself, not just the fleeting applause of the village.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to carry with you today. Hemingway says that the true ending of the story isn't just an old man dreaming of lions. No, it's an old man who will wake up tomorrow, untie his boat, and face the sea all over again. True dignity is outlasting your greatest losses and still having the courage to sail. So I have to ask you, what is your Marlin? And when the sun rises tomorrow, will you untie your boat?